welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle Denise and I am a third year Doctor of Public Health student with a focus in epidemiology and biostatistics. And I'm here to let you guys know all about my experience with my qualifying examination, as well as to provide you with a few tips. So yes, I passed my qualifying examination and I am officially considered a candidate for the Doctor of Public Health degree. So for many of you who are considering pursuing a doctorate degree in public health, you have two options. You can take the PhD route or the DrPH route, in which I took the DrPH route. Now with the DrPH route, you are taking all of the skills and knowledge that you have learned from your classes, and you are going to apply those skills and that knowledge into practice, into real world experiences within the public health sector. Now, when it comes to the PhD, typically we see that the PhD route is for those individuals who want to be more research-based, meaning that they are conducting academic research in the field or they are teaching. Keep in mind that with the DrPH route, you can do the same things as the PhD route. It just depends on your focus and where you want to take your skills and knowledge once you graduate. So now that we have a little understanding of the differences between the two routes that you can take when pursuing a doctorate degree in public health, we are now going to move on to what a qualifying exam is. Once you are accepted into a Doctor of Public Health program, you are only considered a Doctor of Public Health student. You are not a candidate. That is when the qualifying examination comes into play. When you pass successfully the qualifying examination, you are now considered a candidate for your doctorate degree. You have to successfully pass all of your foundational classes as well as your track classes. My foundational classes included Advanced Biostatistics 2, Principles of Global Health, Policy and Practice in Public Health Programs, Health Education Seminar, which is a leadership class, as well as Planning and Administration of Public Health Programs. Since I was on the Epidemiology and Biostatistics track, those core classes that I had to successfully pass included Statistics and Computer Methods, Categorical Data, Regression Analysis, Design Conduct of Clinical Trials, and Geographical Information Systems. We also had the opportunity to take on some electives. However, those were not included on the qualifying examination. And just to give you a few examples of some of those electives that I did have the opportunity to take, I took cardiovascular disease epidemiology, clinical epidemiology, biostatistics readings, and cancer epidemiology. So as you can see, the course workload from your foundational classes to your core track classes, it included a lot, and it was all on my qualifying examination. So now let's talk a little bit about the format of the qualifying examination. So for my exam, I had it broken up into 2 days. The first day, day one, included all of the foundational classes, and day two included all of my track core classes. The format of my qualifying exam, it was a written exam, and we started at 9 a.m. and ended at 5 p.m. with a 1-hour lunch break. So for day two, it also included 5 of my epidemiology and biostatistics track courses. And day two's exam was also from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. with a 1-hour lunch break. Now, I would like to add that prior to even thinking about whether you are able to take the qualifying examination, you have to meet with your academic advisor or your academic support team. And they are actually going to conduct an audit and review all of the coursework to ensure that you actually get the green light to take your qualifying exam. Once you get the yes, you can then start to prepare. When it comes to preparing for your examination, it all depends on your workload at that time. For instance, I knew that I was taking my qualifying exam this fall. My intention was to start studying this past May. That did not fit into my plan because I was also taking geographical information systems. That class in itself was very time consuming and the workload was a lot just because each assignment was very tedious. So I just couldn't find the time or the balance because keep in mind, I am also a full-time epidemiologist. So I had to put all of my extra time into completing those GIS assignments. So I had to revamp my study plan for my comprehensive exam, in which I waited until my GIS course was over. I took a 1-week break, and I would say that I had about 4 to 5 weeks to study for my qualifying exam. Let's just say it was a lot. Now, the whole purpose of issuing students a qualifying examination for my program, specifically for a DrPH program, you don't normally see a qualifying exam such as the format that I received. You don't see that in many DrPH programs. However, it was a part of the curriculum. Now, the sole purpose of issuing such qualifying examination, they want to see a level of proficiency gained through all of the classes that you have taken since being accepted into the program. This is an assessment of all of the knowledge and skills that you have gained, and it also includes information that you gained from your Master of Public Health program. Your MPH pretty much sets the tone for a DrPH program. If you were able to meet a level of proficiency in your MPH program, you better believe that some of that same knowledge would carry over into your DrPH program. Now let's talk about how to prepare for your qualifying exam, what we call as the comprehensive exam, meaning that it covers everything that you have learned thus far. So the first thing that you want to do is construct a timeline, basically your start date and your end date to studying. Again, I gave myself about 4 to 5 weeks to study all of my classes. And what I did was I created 2 large folders. My first folder included all of my foundational classes, and my second folder was all of my track classes. They told us, the professors, how to properly study, in which it wasn't a lot, but they said if you refer to the competencies in your syllabus, then you would be able to know how to prepare yourself for the exam. The best thing that any student could do in my situation was to refer to the competencies that have been already laid out. Those are the same competencies that have been covered from the start of the class to the end of the class. So after I made my 2 folders, I pretty much time blocked my schedule to start preparing for my study sessions. I created a study guide in Word in which I listed all of my foundational classes with the competencies listed out. And I just started going through my folders and matching the competencies with some of the key components. And that way I was able to pretty much map out what I knew and what I did not know. I also, when it came to some of the biostatistics courses, I was able to go back and redo my homeworks, review some of my old exams. That way, I knew how to work out the problems if presented with similar information. Another tip is to find about 1 to 2 other individuals who are willing to kind of coordinate scheduling when it comes to studying. I was able to meet with 2 other individuals during my study sessions on the weekends mainly, And we pretty much just kind of went through some of the key elements of what we needed to know. That was very helpful because it pretty much filled in the gaps for things that I did not know. And I also was able to fill in the gaps for things they did not know. So we wanted to go into the examination knowing as much information based on the competencies taught in the class. Another great tip was to find the best place to study. Initially, when I first started studying, I thought, okay, well, when I get downtime at work, I will be able to squeeze in some study time. No. I quickly learned that I had to separate the two because it was just imbalanced. I wasn't really getting anything done as far as studying on my breaks. So I kind of just revised and found that it was best to just go ahead and study once I got off work. And I didn't always study at home. I started off going into the grad lab, which was a great place to study with the two other individuals because we were able to write out some of the information from our biostats and kind of work through the problems on the whiteboard with each other. But we also found a really cool coffee shop, and it was just a nice study vibe. So I would suggest that find different environments that is going to amplify your study sessions. You don't want to be around too much noise. You want to be in an environment that is conducive to studying. Just keep that in mind. Leading up to the week of the exam, that weekend I went grocery shopping, getting all of the essentials and brain foods that I needed and that I know I needed in order to be successful for the 2 days of the exam. That included having a lot of water, having superfoods, prepping for my lunch, and also having to prep for my dinner so that I wouldn't have to waste so much time cooking. So you have to think about that balance as well when it comes to preparing for your exam or leading up to it. You don't want too many distractions. So definitely make a list of superfoods and food that will fuel your brain. You have to think that during this time, it is very intense. So you want to be able to sustain throughout that duration of the exam. Stay hydrated. This was also a great time for me to become more connected with my spirituality. I had so much anxiety leading up to the exam because I really didn't know what to expect, and it was just overwhelming. Being a full-time student, being a full-time public health professional, and dealing with everything that falls in between can become a lot for a person. So I made sure that I was connected to my spirituality. I know that it did not only include studying hard, but it also meant for me being in constant prayer and stating positive affirmations over my life. Listening to motivational music, it just really put me in the spirit of success. So the last tip I want to provide is post-exam. This is a time where you just take a deep breath and you exhale. Know that you have done everything possible. You've studied hard. You've created a study regimen. You've done everything that you needed to do in order to properly prepare and put yourself in a positive, successful position. That's it. Once the test is over, there's nothing more you can do but wait. So after the final day of examination, me and my girls, we went out to celebrate and we had a great time. It was a moment for us to reflect and a moment for us to just exhale and just kind of stay encouraged up into the moments that we would get our results. It took my program about 2 weeks to provide the results. Talk about nerve-wracking. But when I received my results, I was so thankful. And I was just so happy that I had come so far and that I made it. I made candidacy, and you all can do the same thing. So just keep the faith, stay consistent, and know that You have done everything that you can possibly do in order to be successful on the qualifying exam. All right, everyone. So I hope that this video was helpful. And if you have any additional questions and any guidance that you need, don't hesitate to reach out. Again, I am Michelle Denise, a Doctor of Public Health candidate, and I will see you next time.